Now that they are the only two left, it has become especially hard to ignore his constant obnoxiousness, so she offers to sell him out in exchange for her own safety. Camillo agrees to her proposal and decides to go with her, bringing along one soldier to verify her claims. They walk away from the cart, leaving another soldier behind, and continue for quite some time before Camillo grows suspicious and realizes she is lying. He captures her and brings her back, but when they return to their cart, they see Yusuke sitting on top of it with fire all around him. He has eliminated the soldier who was left behind, dealt with the 3 heretics, and is there to take revenge for his fallen friends. He burns them all alive in front of Camillo and then sets his raptor on fire, causing it to run off. Once they are gone, he reveals that he rescued the 3 heretics and used their clothes to create 2 dummies. For the third one, he used the remaining soldier and then set him ablaze to make it look genuine to Camillo. They both then run away and meet up with the heretics and wait for Kahabel to join them. Meanwhile, Camillo and the other soldier catch up with their raptor and send a message back to the kingdom. Just then, Kahabel arrives and slays both of them, then walks back to regroup with the others. Once together, Yusuke decides to loot their bodies to add more options for the goods they need to complete their quest. He also takes the soldiers' heads to submit to the authorities at Red Oddbow as evidence against the Ox's schemes. Meanwhile, Shindo and the others find a delivery guy with merchandise for Red Oddbow and battle his bodyguard for the right to escort him. Back in the kingdom, the king receives the letter and says the soldiers were fools and should have returned. One of the court advisors suggests they start researching ways to deal with the otherworldly heroes in case they have to fight them in the future. The king agrees, and we see a hooded figure plotting a scheme against the heroes. Finally, they deliver the heads to the authorities, successfully completing their delivery of goods. Soon they meet up with Shindo, and once they are all together, they decide to split up again to complete the other goal of traversing 5% of the map, with less than 0.2% left to finish. They all go in different directions to cover as much of the map as possible. They make good progress throughout the day, but a snowstorm hits them at night. Given how inadequate their cosplay-level gear is, they risk freezing to death. Despite this, with less than 0.01% left to cover, they continue walking through the heavy snow. Meanwhile, Kahabel reflects on the last time she saw Yusuke and regrets not expressing her feelings to him. Yusuke, oblivious to this, is focused on pushing forward through the snowstorm. He equips every piece of clothing he can summon and marches on, wondering what will happen if they all die in the snowstorm. He realizes they won't be able to come back to life, as it will be similar to getting revived inside the troll's stomach. This realization worries him, but he continues to move forward. Elsewhere, Yusuke, Hakak, and Shindo also push towards completing the goal. Shindo, however, gets tired first and realizes she has been walking in circles for hours, blinded by the storm. Yusuke sits down, deciding to let the others finish, while Hakak encounters a one-eyed yeti and fights it. Using his makeshift Byakugan and kitchen knife, he defeats the yeti but feels sad seeing its little minions cuddle against their mother in the cold. Moving forward, he gets lost in his memories and steps on soft snow, falling into a hole to his demise. Fortunately, he revives in a secret dungeon. It's warmer there, and he thinks it might be the shelter they need to complete the quest in this harsh weather. He explores the dungeon, finding it blocked by debris. Eventually, he discovers a circular room dug by a massive worm monster, which soon arrives. Thankfully, it's a passive creature that likes digging and pooping in people's faces. Hakak decides to follow it through the tunnels it makes. This continues for hours until a man-eating worm monster arrives and eats him, leaving only Shindo and Yusuke to finish the quest. Back at Shindo's location, she wakes up and realizes the others are down for the count. She gets up, tells herself to focus, and uses the map technique to walk in a straight line. Finally, she makes progress and spots a village in the distance. She starts running towards it but finds herself on a frozen lake with thin ice. Her brain recalls survival tips from Bear Grylls documentaries, but all it can conclude is that she is in deep trouble. She falls into the icy lake, and that's the end for her. Finally, Yusuke wakes up from her weebish dream and realizes that the whole party managed to get themselves knocked out for good while she was taking her fairy nap. She uses her magic to warm herself up and starts walking forward, but there's only a little time left, and her magic is running out as well. She becomes dizzy from experiencing some responsibility for the first time in her life. Despite the heavy burden, she continues walking forward with the help of her imaginary friends and eventually encounters a strong female magician NPC who has a big snow cat as her pet. The magician offers to help and gives her a ride. They make some progress, but Yusuke squints her eyes to check the status and realizes there are only 3 minutes left. The magician uses wind magic to give themselves a boost, but it still isn't enough. With 0.001% of the map and 1 second left on the clock, it looks like they won't make it. However, with the help of some more wind boosts, Yusuke and everyone else open their eyes in front of the Game Master, who congratulates them for clearing the quest. They all look at her in amazement, and the Game Master tells her to ask her question. She thinks for a minute and asks if this world is real or just virtual reality. He says it's as real as their original world, and if anything, they are the ones who are virtual in it. He further explains that it is Earth in a parallel dimension, and all the living beings on this planet are real people with real lives. Hearing this, Yusuke starts spiraling into his dark and depressing arc as he realizes he set a real man ablaze while he was alive, along with many others who died due to his actions. After that, they all get teleported back to their world, and Yusuke enters his dark Sasuke arc, reflecting on having taken a life at the age of 14. He considers himself human trash and wonders who he really is and what he wants to become. After that, he and the other heroes spend their days normally, going to school and playing games, while he acts a bit edgier and darker than before. They all notice their physical abilities have improved and wonder if it's due to the training and leveling up they did in the other world. One day on his way back home, Yusuke receives a message from the Game Master asking him how he feels now that he has taken a life. Yusuke feels disgusted and deletes the message without replying. Back home, a young girl appears and asks why he didn't reply to her message. She is the Game Master's representation in this world and asks him the same question again. Yusuke says that if he had known the world was real, he would not have killed the soldier, even though he considered him a bad person. The Game Master then tells him to meet their next party member and takes him to a Chinese restaurant to eat hot chili dumplings as punishment for ignoring her messages. She points out a former Yakuza dealer in the corner who will be ambushed by a group of young thugs in 20 seconds. One of the ambushes, will be their 5th party member, along with his younger brother Shuji. Yusuke's mission is to prevent them from getting caught by the police. Just then, a group of masked men enters with guns and bats. Yusuke trips the leader by sticking out his foot, then tries to calm them down using talk no jutsu, but the leader kicks his foot and silences him. Yusuke turns around, kicks him in the gut, grabs a bat, and counters an attacker. He blinds him with burning dumplings and sends another flying with a kick. A man calls out his name, and Yusuke realizes it's Keita and unmasks him. He grabs Keita and says he is there to protect them and won't let them kill anyone. But then a Yakuza member walks in with a gun and threatens to shoot him. The Game Master offers to help and gives Yusuke a creature wizard glove. Yusuke uses it to command the Yakuza member to stop, punches him down, and tells Keita to run away with his brother, but not before kicking the gunman in the face for good measure. Later, Yusuke goes to the rooftop and talks with the Game Master, who asks him the same question now that he has saved a life. Yusuke says he feels the same and will continue to fight for his justice, even though he knows it proves he is delusional. He says he saved Keita to increase their chances of completing the next quest, just like Yusuke's mental state was crucial for clearing the previous quest. He believes that by saving them from getting caught, he has created a world where they would want to return, helping them complete the next mission. Meanwhile, we learn that Keita and his younger brother Shuji live with their single mother. They are very poor and in debt to some Yakuza members. One day, their boss comes to collect payment and beats up their mom for not paying enough. He then takes the 2 sons and offers them a job to cover the remaining payment, sending them to kill an ex-Yakuza member. That's why they meet Yusuke, who defeats the Yakuza guy and gets him arrested while letting the brothers escape in time. 1 week has passed since then, and everyone is wondering when they will be summoned for the next quest. One night, while engaging in some hobbies, they all get teleported to the other world and meet their fifth member. Just like everyone else, Keita is summoned inside the pond with the tentacle monster. After swimming out, he is greeted by the game master. He spins his role into a spear warrior and tells them about their next quest, which is to offer the Jiffin and Buffo at Vam Mania within 20 days.